Mornings with Nadia on ABC Radio Perth and on the ABC Listen app.
At 18 to 11. Now, when we think about the sort of typical formal school uniform, is normally a tie. Sometimes there's a hat. You certainly get the nice blazer, a skirt, a shirt or trousers. Then you've got your tights and your formal school shoes. There are a lot of elements to it, but I wonder how practical uniforms actually are for the children that have to wear them. And do we need to rethink the way we design school uniforms for functionality rather than presentation? Do you think presentation matters? And is this something that you've thought about or you've considered or even talked to your kids about? 1300 222 720. How comfortable and functional are those formal uniforms? And the reason we're talking about this today is because there's a group of researchers from the University of Newcastle who've come up with 4 reasons schools should let students wear sport uniforms every day. And if there were kids listening, you would like this idea, I am sure. The lead author is Tepi McLaughlin, who is a PhD candidate from the School of Medicine at the University of Newcastle. Tepi, good morning.
Morning, Nadia.
So firstly, what led you to this research?
Well, we started off, we're a health-based research team, and we're looking at the massive problem that is adolescent and child physical inactivity. And we're finding that about 9 in 10 adolescents don't get enough activity. There's only 1 in 10 kids in each classroom that is getting enough activity. So we're looking at all sorts of different methods to get them more active, and one of them is a change to school uniforms.
Okay. So what did you look at? Is it the restrictive nature of uniforms that's having an impact?
So what it is a lot of these traditional uniforms, as you described, they're traditional by nature. They're quite restrictive. You know, the hard-pressed white crisp shirts, the skirts, the dresses. And we wouldn't go for a run in those as adults. And we shouldn't really be expecting our kids to do that at break times, at recess and lunch. So what this is about is switching from the more traditional uniforms to allowing the students to wear their sports uniforms every day. And most schools will allow students to wear their sports uniform on sport day, but this is about allowing them to wear it every day of the week.
And by allowing that, you think that would encourage them to be more active at school?
Yeah, so we've started some research on this, and we've got ongoing research that's looking at whether the uniforms can help them to be active. But it's a little bit more than that. Some of the other reasons that we've got are around, we know that the parents are really supportive of their kids being active at school. 9 in 10 parents agree with the school uniform should support their kids to be active at schools. And the kids want this as well. So 3 in 4 adolescent students want this because, they realise that these traditional uniforms are getting a little bit more outdated now, and they want to just be able to run around at break times and blow off some steam, which has actually been linked to improved academic performance in the classroom once they've had a run around in the break times. If they're more physically active, they're more likely to do better in class. We
know that they're expensive as well. The cost, is that a problem too?
That's right. It's considerable. It's upwards of $500, the average cost for a secondary school uniform, about $350 for a primary school uniform. And so if we're just looking at the sports uniform, we can bring that cost right down to about $170. And that includes everything, your tracksuit pants, your top, your polo shirt, your shorts. So it's appropriate for all weathers, but also for all different types of activities. And we think it's really important that the uniforms are still smart, but also, functionable for both schooling and also the recess and break time. So it is important that they're smart and all looking the same, but this is about functionality too.
But you could make a sport uniform look smart, couldn't you? I mean, surely there'd be designs out there. I mean, I don't know what you could do beyond shorts and a polo T-shirt, but are there ways that you could make a sports uniform look a bit smarter? Because for a lot of principals at this school, it's about presentation. I mean, they look fabulous in these formal uniforms, and so from a principal's point of view, I imagine they'd be thinking, "Oh no, we don't like this because we love the way our students look."
That's right, Nadia. And we've heard, some stories of schools working with their uniform suppliers to create kind of a hybrid uniform with suitable materials that are sweat wicking And that's absolutely fantastic. That's the kind of thing that we would like to see. The principals, you're right, there's not many principals that are initially supportive of this. Only about a third of the principals that we surveyed were supportive of a move. But they were talking about the fact that there isn't much evidence for this, and hopefully, we've put across today that yes, these are expensive and that's not fair on parents. The students don't really like wearing them. The teachers don't even support the students wearing this type of uniform. They'd rather see them in sports type uniforms. So there's all sorts of reasons that it should swap over. Our research is focused on the physical activity side of things because we want to be able to support them to get to and from school on their bike or walking. We want to be able to support them to be active at break times and take part in sport because we know that physical activity has multitudes of benefits, including for their health, but also for their academic performance.
At 12 to 11, I'm talking to Tepe McLaughlin. He's a PhD candidate from the School of Medicine and Public Health at the University of Newcastle. I'm going to go to your calls in a moment. Melissa and Lydia, stay there because I'm very keen to know what you think. So basically, principals don't like it, parents like it, students like it, and teachers like it.
Yeah, that's right. The parents have said to us that they're not quite sure about the evidence for this yet, and we're hoping to build that evidence base up. They've also said that they're inappropriate for formal occasions, which is what you said before, where we've actually seen some schools overcome this by having a store of their traditional uniforms that they roll out for formal occasions, and they lend them out to students for formal occasions and then take them back in. So there's all sorts of options, either modifying the existing sport uniform to make it a little bit smarter or lending out the traditional uniform when the formal occasion occurs.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. Appreciate your time. Tepe McLaughlin is a PhD candidate from the University of Newcastle. He's just been my guest. What do you think about this? Do you like the idea or don't you? A lot of texts coming in. I'm going to get to those as well. I just need to let you know that there's been some flooding on Great Eastern Highway westbound at Morrison Road, Midland. The left turning lane is affected, so please drive with caution. All right, let's go to your calls on 1300 222 720. Melissa, do you like this idea?
Hello, Nadia. Yes and no. Yes, I love the idea. Sorry, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. My girls' school, John Curtin, does an excellent job with the school uniform. They have a range of pieces, and then it's up to the students to choose the pieces that they feel comfortable with, but also the pieces that are weather appropriate. So you might have a freezing cold day in the middle of summer or a really hot day in the middle of winter, and they can adjust the uniform as to what's appropriate. So I think they do a fantastic job with the uniform. And they're a government school, and they are very strict with their uniform. They do police it, and they're very strict about it.
Oh, indeed they are, and not so much when I was at school. I went to a public school, and we had a uniform. It was white shirt, navy blue pleated skirt, really, but I often rock up in a bright green jumper. I know I shouldn't. It was a bit naughty of me, and I did get a dress pass once in year 10. Lydia, hello.
Hello, Nadia. How are you?
Good. What do you think?
Oh, look, so I've recently been advocating for choice at my daughter's school. So they're at a Catholic primary school, and I'm sure you can imagine that the uniform policy is quite strict. And I recently came across a national campaign called Girls' Uniform Agenda, which is basically advocating for choice for girls at school to be able to wear pants and shorts just like the boys do. So not only just the sports uniform, but actually having choice for other parts of the uniform as well. Our schools did a survey of parents last year, but then of course we were hit with COVID, so the survey kind of got buried. And recently when I inquired about it, I was told that, well, there wasn't enough parents that wanted a change, so they wouldn't be making a change. But my answer to that would be, but what about the parents who do want a choice? It's not about getting rid of, the pressed dress and the pressed shirt. It's just about offering choice and about gender equality, gender neutral uniforms. And some members and other advocates that are working on this with me have actually met with the Equal Rights Commissioner, John Byrne, here in Perth. Right. And he does acknowledge that girls do have the right to wear pants and trousers at school and shouldn't be forced to wear these dresses. And a sports uniform all year round would be ideal. I mean, it's a practical thing. The research is there. There are some papers available on the Girls Uniform Agenda website that people can look at to support girls and students wearing shorts and pants at school rather than a dress. I mean, as you can imagine, the girls will want to do their cartwheels, and one of my daughters
play
loves
cricket.
basketball.
Yep.
Swing on the bars.
Lydia, thank you. www.girlsuniformagenda.org is the organisation that Lydia was talking about. Thank you very much for that. These texts. I've recently had conversations with the principal of my daughter's private school around this very issue. The problem was not the principal, but some of the mothers, many of whom are former students and have outdated, redundant ideas that somehow a uniform with a tie and blazer somehow improves their child's performance or experience of school. It would be incredible to see a move away from the focus on formal uniforms so that we teach our children that it doesn't matter what you look like, but it's your actions and behaviour that you will be judged by. My son's uniform definitely prevents exercise, says this listener. In the summer, he rides 10Ks to school. In winter, he's required to wear his blazer to and from school, and as a result will not ride as it's too hot and uncomfortable. It's a ridiculous rule that the school refuses to change. And Kylie says, I believe the formal uniforms teach the children about grooming and personal presentation. However, my daughter missed out on daily cricket and footy activities at lunchtime because she was in a formal uniform. She said it was physically impossible to bowl a cricket ball or kick a footy in a dress or a skirt and a shirt and a tie. She sat on the bench at lunch with all the other girls for 5 years of high school. I'm open to change for future generations, for girls especially. Kylie, thank you very much for that. It's 6 minutes.